slammed the brakes so hard that my coffee launched out of the cup holder and splattered across the windshield. But I barely noticed. Right there, in broad daylight, 5 strangers were hauling stuff out of my private storage barn like it was a neighborhood garage sale. Standing in the middle of them was none other than Marlene, the self-appointed queen of our HOA, grinning like she had just conquered new territory. One man was dragging my fishing kayak across the grass. Another had 2 of my lawn chairs stacked on his back. And, unbelievably, someone had my backup generator loaded into a wheelbarrow. I jumped out of my truck, heart pounding, voice sharp. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Marlene turned slowly, holding a clipboard like it was a royal decree. "The HOA voted. Your storage barn is now shared community overflow. You weren't using it." She said it with a smile like she was doing me a favor. For a second, I actually looked around to make sure I wasn't in some prank show. But nope, this was real. People were walking in and out of my barn like it was public property. I stomped across the gravel and yanked the barn door open wider. My worst fears were confirmed. My tool wall was bare in places. My old camping stove was gone. One of the tarps was pulled back, revealing the antique snowmobile my grandfather had left Menno with a massive scratch across its chrome. "You've got 5 minutes to get off my land," I said, barely keeping my rage in check. Marlene laughed. "You're on HOA land now. We redrew the boundary lines last year. Didn't you read the notice?" She tapped the clipboard. "We voted. Voted. Like it was the Middle Ages and she was annexing territory." I pulled out my phone and started recording. "Smile, Marlene. This is going on the neighborhood page." And then straight to my lawyer. Her smile twitched, but she tried to stay composed. "We have bylaws. You agreed to them when you moved here. I also have a deed. That barn? Built by me. On my land. With my money. Behind a gate you just broke open. Explain that to a judge." Marlene blinked, then waved her group to hurry. "Come on, folks. Let's wrap it up." They piled into their SUVs and drove off like they had just enjoyed a flea market spree. I stood there, barn half-looted, head spinning. Inside, extension cords were missing, the paint can shelf was knocked over, and someone had left a greasy McDonald's bag on my workbench. It wasn't just theft, it was the sheer disrespect. I photographed everything, the damage, the broken lock, the mess. That night, I couldn't sleep. I scrolled through the HOA bylaws on my tablet and found the clause, "Communal storage may be utilized at the discretion of the board if a property is deemed underutilized for more than 90 days. Vague. Murky. Probably not legal. But just enough for someone like Marlene to twist. I went back through the old email newsletters. 6 months ago, buried deep in an HOA bulletin, storage reallocation options may be discussed in upcoming meetings. No names. No vote I ever heard about. The next morning, I launched my drone. I wanted a full aerial scan of my land and what these freeloaders were doing with my stuff. Within minutes, I had footage of 2 neighbors using my lawn mower and blower. Another was tying a tarp over the kayak on his porch. Someone else was hauling my patio umbrella across the street. I made a short reel and posted it to the neighborhood Facebook group, titled, "HOA decided my barn was free storage." Here's what they took. The response? Immediate. Nuclear. 400 likes. 300 comments. Half the neighborhood was outraged. The other half defended the HOA like it was the Supreme Court. Marlene tried to spin it. "Let's keep this civil. The board only acted in the spirit of community fairness." Someone responded, "Fairness doesn't include breaking and entering, Marlene." By noon, I had an email from the HOA with 4 violation notices. Unauthorized signage, unsecured property, visual clutter, and threatening behavior. I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. Marlene even added a personal note. "You might want to reconsider your tone before things escalate further." Escalate? She hadn't seen escalation yet. I called my cousin Dean, a real estate lawyer who despised HOA abuse. Before I finished the story, he was already laughing. "They broke your lock? Entered your property? Used your stuff? Oh man, this is going to be fun. But don't retaliate yet. Change the locks. Gather evidence. We're going to line up the chessboard before we move the queen." That evening, a plan formed. I visited Mitch's mobile locks the next morning. Mitch looked up, sipping coffee. 3 days ago, I said. "You cut the lock on my barn." He blinked. "Yeah. For the HOA. Lady named Marlene. Did she show you paperwork? She had a letter. HOA letterhead. Said the storage was communal now. Even had a little stamp. Seemed official. You realize that building is on private land, right? You trespassed. Mitch tensed. Look, man, I don't ask for deeds. They pay up front. I do the job. Would you send me that letter? I think Marlene forged it. Back in the truck, I called Dean. He whistled. Classic HOA overreach. Keep gathering. Change the locks. Post new signage. That afternoon, more cars than usual lined the street. My gate, which I had locked the day before, now hung open. Folding tables lined up in front of the barn. Boxes. Signs. One read, Community Yard Sale. I nearly broke the steering wheel in half. They were sipping lemonade. Hosting a bake sale. I marched up. What the hell is going on? One woman smiled. Marlene said it was fine. Just one day. I threw open the barn door. More tools gone. My tire compressor vanished. Teenagers lounged in my folding chairs. Marlene appeared in a salmon-colored visor, oversized sunglasses, clipboard in hand. You're being very aggressive, she said, writing something down. I'm documenting this. You are selling things on land you don't own. That barn is not HOA property. The board authorized it. You missed the vote. Not my fault. I pulled out my phone. Say that louder. Say it again on camera. Her smile wavered. And then, as if fate was on my side, a white van with a local news logo pulled up. My drone footage had gone viral. A reporter stepped out. Marlene switched gears. Welcome. Just a community event promoting unity. I stepped into the frame. This is private property. That barn is on deeded land. The people behind me are trespassing. This woman broke a lock and used forged documents. The reporter panned to shocked faces. Marlene looked like someone unplugged her. You're blowing this out of proportion, she hissed. I'm just getting started. By sundown, the tables were gone. But I wasn't finished. With Dean's advice, I installed new locks, reinforced gates, posted fresh signs. Private property. Trespassers will be prosecuted. Under video surveillance. The next morning, Karen retaliated. For new fines, nighttime construction, hostile signage, improper camera placement, and community intimidation. Dean read them. These are so flimsy I could use them as tissues. Time to go nuclear. That night, we drafted a cease and desist. Listed every violation. Delivered it to the HOA Dropbox. I filmed it. Then Marlene parked a silver SUV right in front of my barn. License plate. HO4 EVR. Left a note, shared resource. Don't block access. Dean said, how many vehicles total? I looked around. 3. Time to enforce consequences. Know a tow guy? I smiled. Oh yeah. Big Mike ran the local tow yard. No questions asked. Midnight, lights off, winch ready. By sunrise, the cars were gone. In their place, signs, vehicle towed due to unauthorized parking. Storage fees begin immediately. At 8:30, Marlene showed up in a golf cart, flanked by board members and a guy with a camcorder. You have no idea what you've done. That's destruction of community property. I held up the cease and desist. This was served last week. Parking violations. I have footage, documents, and an attorney. She shouted, we're a governing body. You're a committee of retired landscapers and Etsy sellers. You want to test it in court? Please. That evening, someone posted a photo, Marlene gets towed. Blames the Constitution. The comments? Glorious. Some neighbors brought me pie. One returned my fishing pole. With root beer. A week later, Marlene filed a lawsuit. Property interference. Mental anguish. Public defamation. Dean nearly fainted from laughter. She just made our case stronger. Countersuit time. We filed. Named Marlene personally. Included everything. Then Rick, a former board member, messaged me. Marlene deleted emails. I saved some. She told us to act like the barn was always shared. Gold mine. In court, the judge wasn't amused. You broke into his property. Held a sale. Ignored a cease and desist. And now you sue him. Marlene, he made me look like a criminal online. Did you forge documents? The board assumed. Answer the question. Yes. Case closed. The judge ruled in my favor. Marlene owed $14,600. Cease and desist upheld. I walked out of court lighter than I'd felt in months. The barn is mine again. Peace returned. The toad sign still watches. Some neighbors now joke about it. Others ask where to get one. And me? I learned something vital. Some neighbors bark. Others build cases.